Hello, and welcome to another video. Today we will be learning how to graph piecewise functions. A piecewise function is basically one function created of multiple pieces. If you want to graph them, you're going to have to graph each piece individually. This graph, for example, has three different pieces, and we're going to graph them individually, creating one single graph. As you can see, you have a piece of the equation, and then you have the domain that applies to that specific piece of the equation. So since on this equation we have three different pieces, we're going to have three different domains that are being applied to the equations on the left of the domain restrictions. In order for us to do that, I'm going to go over some basic information before we start actually doing it. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a number line on my paper, because some students get confused when you're looking at numbers that are smaller or that are larger, especially when they're negative. So having this will help us figure out which direction our arrow is going, and then if the numbers are smaller or larger as needed. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. The next thing I'm going to do is to do a key for those numbers that are listed here. We always have to plot them, whether it's a greater than or less than, and whether it's a greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do less than or greater than. Always should be not included, or when you graph them, be graphed as an open circle. It's less than or equal to or greater than equal to, the number is in fact included. So it should be a solid or filled in dot. I am going to be color coding the notes. So if you have some colored pencils or pens with different colors, you can follow along with the coloring as well. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put my first piece of the graph in pink. So I circled it at the top so you can see which piece I'm referring to when I'm doing the math. I am going to be doing a t-chart. So on the left of my t-chart, I always put x. On the right side of my t-chart, I'm going to put the equation that I'm currently working with. In this case, it's going to be negative x minus 2. As I said before, the number that's listed has to be your starting point in this case, or your ending point, depending on which way you look at it. So my last number is going to be negative 2. So looking at this, negative 2 should be included based on the little key we did at the top. And then we're picking numbers less than negative 2 or to the left in our number line. So knowing that information, I have to pick a number less than negative 2, which would be negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, etc. So I will put a few. As you get better at this, you're going to need less numbers. But for now, I'm going to put negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, and negative 6 on the left side. On the right side, I'm actually where I'm going to be evaluating using this equation at the top. So for the first one at negative 2, I'm going to replace all my x's into my equation with the first number, which is negative 2. So negative, again, I'm going to replace my x with negative 2 and then subtract 2 from it. When I actually simplify this, when I multiply a negative times a negative, I get a positive 2 minus 2, which is equal to 0. I'm going to fill in the rest of the table very quickly. Negative times negative 3 minus 2, which is equal to 3 minus 2, which is just 1. And then negative times negative 4 minus 2, which is 4 minus 2, which is 2. Negative times negative 5 minus 2, which is positive 5 minus 2, which is 3. Negative times negative 6 minus 2, which is 6 minus 2, which is 4. As you can see, there's a pattern going because we do have a linear equation. This does look like y equals mx plus b, where slope is negative x or negative 1, and or y-intercept is negative 2. So like I said, the number where it starts or where it ends always has to be listed. And then the other numbers are just going to be dots that we're going to be connecting, creating the graph. So don't do big dots because then your graph looks kind of weird when you do them. So this is going to be your x value, and this is going to be your y value. So looking at the first point that we're plotting is going to be -2, 0. I'm going to write it on the side just so everybody can follow along, and then I will erase them. -3, 1, -4, 2, -5, 3, and then -6, 4. Again, this one I'm going to make a big solid dot, and then all the other ones are just going to be little dots that I'm going to be connecting with a straight line in this case. So I'm going to go to -2, 0, and do a solid dot. The next number that I'm plotting is going to be -3, 1, just a dot. You can see it there in pink. The next one will be -4, 2. The next one will be -5, 3. And then the next one or last one will be -6, 4. After I create that, I'm going to connect those dots through connecting it to my first original dot, creating my first piece. So looking at my middle piece, I'm going to use green this time to highlight the middle graph, and I'm going to create my own t-chart again. Again, I'm going to start with x, and then the equation. In this case, negative open parentheses x squared minus 4. In the middle pieces, they're going to be a little bit different because we do have to start at the smaller number, and we do have to end on the bigger number. Since I know that this is a parabola, I'm going to plot every single point between -2 and +3. So -2 is where it starts with an open circle, and then I'm going to go all the way to +3 with an open circle. So looking at my number line, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3 are the numbers that I'm going to be listed. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So like I said, I can use my calculator to help me. So I'm going to go to my calculator and then put a negative. And then I'm going to put an x. I'm going to replace my x with -2. I'm going to put it in parentheses. -2. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to square it. And then I'm going to subtract 4 from it. And I'm actually missing a set of parentheses here. I'm sorry. So I'm going to go back and add the parentheses here. So it should look something like that. The -2 should be in parentheses because I'm squaring it. So when I do it, I should be multiplying -2 times -2. I'm going to press enter, and I clicked on the wrong thing.